This is my new song, Pocket Dialer. It just came out last week. I want to take you track by track through the song and show you how I made it. My new record, Character Flaw, was released last week. This is the first song on the record. The Pro Tool session is surprisingly minimal, but I'll take you through it track by track. I'll show you the effects loops I used and how I designed each sound. Every song on the record was written as an alternate cue to one of my favorite movies, No Country for Old Men, Interstellar, a ton of others. The prompts just sort of helped when I was writing the songs. I thought it'd be sort of a fun project to tackle here. It is streaming everywhere now, so I would love if you went to go check it out. Let's dive into this. Here's the Pro Tools session. I'll just start by playing a little bit of the track here. So part of my process when I'm producing for other artists or when I'm making my own songs is I'm constantly printing stuff down. If I make a cool soft synth, an Omnisphere or something, I'll print it down, I'll add some effects to it, reverb, delay, whatever, and then I'll usually print those down as well. So there are many, many layers of prints. So sometimes with these sort of long projects like Character Flaw, it's kind of a mystery to me of how I even made certain things. But luckily, this sort of synth that starts the song off, I found the original Pro Tools session and I had named it Zebra Synth. So it was obviously from the UHE plugin Zebra, which I really loved. And a couple of years ago, I was using it all the time. So this sort of stemmed from that. But I'll play this synth for you just on its own. Cool. There's obviously some delay built into that Zebra plugin too. You can hear the delay sort of swirling around in there. The next thing that comes in with the song is what I have labeled as the chord keys here. I think this is from Arturia's Analog Lab plugin suite. And this is like that Korg SV73 thing, which the actual hardware of that is an absolute nightmare. I played in a band where the keyboard player, she had one and the thing weighed like as much as a Mazda. It was so heavy, but yeah, so this sort of comes in. I'll play this. So pretty basic. It's not doing anything too crazy. There's a little bit of atmosphere on there. It sounds like Black Hole to me. I really like it. Let's talk about drums. I got a couple kits on this song. The first thing is a drum loop here. I'll just play a little bit of this for you. Let's see what I got going on here. You'll notice not very many plugins. Like I said, I bust a lot of things down as I'm working on it so that the mix is just easy. I don't want it to be too complicated for me. But this is a FabFilter Pro Q3. I'm just taking around 2100 hertz, super wide Q, just sort of softening the sound of those drums a little bit. I also have a kick, just a kick on its own. I'll play what that's doing here. I'll play it with the actual drum loop now. All right, so next thing in the track, I have this Rhodes here. I know I ran this Rhodes through my Space Echo as well. I'll just play you what it sounds like here. So that has so much low end. That's basically the bass sound that is happening throughout that part. All right, moving along. I have these pad tracks here, and I do this a lot. Like when I'm trying to make something custom and I don't feel like digging for a soft synth or using the Juno or Prophet or something. And what I do, I'll give you a quick little demo here. I take this chord keys track, I duplicate it. I've called it Future Pad here. I cut all the high end, all the low end off. You can see here in this SSL plugin. And then I added some kind of flanger, any kind of modulation will work, but in this case, this pad was a flanger. I take that chord, I reverse it. I take the middle section of that chord and I paste it over like this. I do this for each chord here, and it builds this pad. I'll play you what it sounds like here in the actual track. Cool. So you can kind of hear the chops happening. It's very rhythmic. But it's just an easy way to sort of make a custom pad without having to go to some like the tried and true things that I do often, which is like just use a Juno 106 or something like that. The last sort of main thing that makes up this track are these sort of ambient guitars. I'll just play them here. All right, I made these guitars using my custom MJT Telly here. And both these guitars are actually just straight DI. I didn't use any amp sims. I didn't use any amps. I was reading some article about the producer Rostam and how he was using DI guitars for something. And I'm like kind of a big amp guy, so I never really do that. So just as a bit of a challenge to myself, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna plug the guitar straight in and we'll see what happens here. And they end up being really cool. You can kind of hear the DI-ness, especially of Ambient Guitar 1 there. But it's kind of cool and it fits with the track, so I'm into it. All right, actual last thing, I promise. I'm gonna run you through my mix bus chain for this. Not very complicated here, but obviously I don't have a lot of plugins in this session. Everything I'm doing, all the treatment I'm doing is sort of getting bussed down along the way. So this is typically how I like to mix, like everything sort of committed, very minimal plugins, everything just feeling really good already. And then I'm sort of sculpting the whole thing, almost like a mastering engineer would, really, with like a little bit more control. But basically on my mix bus, I have the Manly Varimu. I'll play a little bit of this for you. I'll play the whole track just to show you what this is doing. Let me just go to a loud section here. So at most, it's maybe like 2-3 dB of compression here. Not a lot, just sort of giving it some love. I have this SSL channel strip on here, which I'm boosting a little bit of 8K, and I'm removing a little bit of 500 hertz here, and adding a little bit of 52 hertz here. Just a little bit of sculpting, doing a little bit more sculpting with the Pultec EQ. I'm removing a bit of 60 hertz here, which is actually a little bit higher in the frequency spectrum, just kind of how the Pultec acts. adding a little bit more 8K and shaving a little bit off of 5K. Then I'm going into this precision limiter here that's just giving it some volume. After the precision limiter, I'm hitting another Pultec, again, taking a little bit of 60 out and taking a little bit of 5 out. All right, cool. So the track is up on every streaming platform now. Check it out. If you have any more questions about how I made this, let me know. Happy to answer them.